Welcome, my name is Colleen Tauchiet. I'm the sewing specialist here at Fons & Porter. In this Quilting Quickly tutorial, I'm going to show you how to put together the interesting shaped blocks for the quilt called Kite Flying. If you'd like to purchase this pattern, please visit our website. We're going to be using the 10-inch pre-cut squares, and we've got a really great assortment, kind of a rainbow look, and we're going to pair it up with white 10-inch squares. Now you can even purchase the white pre-cut if you'd like, and then you can match up all of your prints with the white. And I'll show you how to get started on that. You take each of your 10-inch squares and cut them in half, and you'll have 5 by 10-inch rectangles like this. Then with those, we're also going to be pairing up a 5 by 10 of the white, and then we're going to do a fun process to make 2 elongated rectangle or triangle squares at a time. So what we're going to be doing is using a 1/4-inch seam marker. A Fons & Porter set comes with a long version and a short one. We're going to be using the long one here. And we're going to be using a fabric marking pencil or a friction pen, something that will put a temporary line on your fabric. I've got a couple that have lines drawn on them already. I'll bring those out. And we need to note that there's different directions for marking. First, we'll just work with the white pieces. You'll notice that I've got angles, instead of everything being angled in the same direction, I've got angles opposite directions. So if I were to turn this around, you'll notice no matter how I turn this around, they're not mirror image, they're actual different angles. So make sure that you go according to the pattern, and you're going to make so many with a slant in one direction and so many with a slant in the opposite direction. We're going to be using that 1/4-inch seam marker that we have, and we're going to be putting so that there is a dividing line on this tool, and it's going to be placed from corner to corner, though it runs off the edge in a different kind of an angle than we're used to using it. So think about that center line, corner to corner. That's how we normally would place it on a square, but the way that it hangs off the edges is going to be very unusual, so note that when you are placing the tool. So we're going to mark both sides of the tool for our stitching line, then go to a set of rectangles and mark the opposite angle. Again, corner to corner, mark both sides for stitching lines. Put the tool away. And now it's for the placement. Normally when we're making triangle squares, we just place the fabric right sides together and stitch. But in this case, we need to do something different. We need to get a tilt in order to get these to work properly. So what we're going to be doing is tilting, and we're going to match up corner to corner. Keep thinking about how you mark this, corner to corner. You'll notice this diagonal runs now diagonally across the green square underneath of it. If I were to turn this back, you'll notice I'm going to get that kind of shape, that elongated rectangle that I'm looking for. So some of them are going to be placed this direction, and some, again, tilting corner to corner. That's why diagrams are so important in patterns. It'll keep you honest and going the right direction. Corner to corner here. So if I pull this back, again, you'll see that's the shape of the unit we're trying to work for. Take that to the machine. Just as you would do with quick triangle squares, you're going to stitch on the lines, both of those lines, and cut this apart down the center. You can use either scissors or a rotary cutter, but you're going to cut down between and then pull those apart. I've got some that are already in steps here. I'll just lay these back out. We'll simulate the cutting here. Oops, this direction. You can see there, that's where the stitching was. I cut down between, and then I took them to the iron and I pressed. Press the seam allowances toward the darker fabric so I won't have that show through. Now I've got pieces that look like this. Now if I were to arrange that, these look exactly alike. You'll get 2 identical shapes from one process. So there's that angle. Remember the other one, we tilted in the other direction. Just to reiterate that, because it's a little bit different than we're used to doing. Kind of get our brain wrapped around it. Same here, we stitched on those lines, cut down between, and press the seam allowances toward the darker fabric. And you'll notice that these come out the same. But no matter how I twist and turn these, they're not going to be the same angle as this. And you do need that in the quilt, so we need to have both those angles. Now you'll see there's some lines drawn on these because these are not the right shape yet. They need to be a little bit smaller, and you'll see they're kind of messy on the ends. If you want we want to have our seam allowances come out right so you get those perfect intersections, and this is how we do it. Take a ruler. We need to make a 4.5 by 8.5 block. So we're going to come in here and find my rotary cutter, my glove, quick. Put the ruler on our rectangle that we created, and it should come out to about 4.5. It should be right, I'd say right on the money for 4.5. But what we need to do is take the center out of that, the kind of the sweet spot out of the middle. And what we need to do is look down the side here. We need a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And then where that 1/4 inch line on your ruler meets the diagonal of this elongated rectangle, that's where we need it to intersect. And if that's in the right place, then when we come over here to the 8.5 line, come in a 1/4 inch where your seam allowance will be. That dot of the 1/4 inch seams where they come together should be right over the top of the diagonal. So I'll cut one. And this really just takes that first time to look at it and go, oh, I get it. So even when we turn it, again, we have the 4.5 already this way. We're not trimming much there. We need this 8.5 line here. So I'm lining it up on the 8.5. I'm going to come over here and double check. I've got a 1/4 inch seam here, a 1/4 inch seam here, and that dot falls right on the diagonal. So that means my seam allowance will intersect right where the print and the white come together and make perfect intersections. And I have the 8.5 by 4.5 rectangle ready to go. And do that through all your blocks. When you're finished, because you have blocks that angle in different directions, you need to use a diagram or come up with your own pattern if you decide, but follow to get the right angle throughout your quilt, and you've created kite flying. Thanks for joining me today. If you'd like to see more of our Quilting Quickly tutorials, please visit our website. Thanks for joining me.